Moin, Servus, and welcome to another video on this channel. Today's video is all about the Aoocci BM6 and BM7 Pro displays, which are tailor-made for your BMW motorcycles and are coming with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And this new Pro version even comes now with dashcams. So what will this video consist of? We will have a look at the installation process, the functions of the display, including full integration into the BMW ecosystem, as well as Android Auto and CarPlay functions. Furthermore, we will test the device as a navigation system and, of course, the new dashcams with day and even night riding. At the end, I will discuss common misconceptions of such devices, discuss upsides and downsides, and of course answer the question, who is this device for? First, a quick disclaimer though. Aoocci has kindly given this device for free to me for this review, and I'm even allowed to keep the device. I am though completely open to say whatever I want about this device, but of course you are free to make up your own mind whether that is really the case. In case you are happy with my review and you decide to buy any of the Aoocci devices, either the BM6 or 7 Pro or any other device for that case, please be aware that there's an affiliate link down in the pinned comment and the video description, as well as a discount code that will give you 22% of discount, as well as an additional magnetic light in case your order exceeds $99. Alright then, if you have watched any of my previous videos, you may know that I use my smartphone for navigation until now, and that worked well most of the time. But last summer I had multiple situations where I got into hot temperatures and some slow traffic, and the phone actually overheated. And on the last trip to Italy in September, we got into quite some heavy rain, and there was water inside the charging port of the phone. Luckily, new devices like mine, they recognize water in the charging connection and nothing happened. But it still wasn't a great look and a great feel, to be honest. Furthermore, in the last half year or so, the specific charging connection that I have on my bike left me stranded, kind of. For some reason it disconnected, it didn't charge the phone anymore, and eventually I ran very low on the battery before I even noticed that something went wrong. These incidents really started to put me off of the smartphone solution, so when Aoocci contacted me and asked me whether I would like to test the device, I just said yes, of course. I guess lucky me, since I was thinking about a different solution anyway already, and they just came in. So when the box arrived in the mail, I went and installed everything right away on the bike. In the box I found the device itself, the dash cams with all required cables, tire pressure sensors, some simple tools, a short manual, and a 64GB SD card. Be aware though that you need to select some of the shown components specifically on the homepage, like for example the dash cams or the tire pressure sensors, if you actually want to buy them. I started out by installing the cameras. The manual recommends to use the 3M tape which comes with the cameras, and for extra safety some small screws that can be used to drill into the plastic parts of the bike. As I'm absolutely not going to drill into my bike, I went with the following solution. Alright guys, so we have it installed, the device here in the front, then there's a little connection here for the cameras. It's plugged nicely with two screws additionally to keep it in place. And it even has a sealing ring on it, which I really like, so it should be waterproof. Which I don't really like too much, is this little protection cap for the USB-C connection, I guess it is for the cameras. I am afraid I will lose it eventually. Then I have the camera now here in the front. Let's see how well that works once the screen is on. It should clear, that shouldn't be the problem. And then I routed the cables down here. Behind this part, there's actually a little opening that you can get the cables through. and then not really as a permanent solution yet, because I'm not so sure about keeping the rear camera. We'll see about that. I routed the cable down here, back into the seat, or underneath the seat towards here. And you can see maybe there's a little slot where the two cast parts meet. I route the cable back here, and then in here we have the camera. Let me get some light in. There we have the camera. As said, I didn't really want to drill into the bike. That's why I used two cable ties. Tightened them pretty as much as I could. I hope that works out somehow. So, cameras are installed. As we can see on the left side, we don't see much. Why? Because there's this freaking ACC sign in the way. So if you get the screen all the way up to the top, you can use the front camera. That's not a problem. Maybe the positioning, I still need to get it a bit more angled down. We'll see about that when I'm on the road. And for the rear, I will put my hand there to show you what the problem is. There you see, I'm reaching over the back and the hand comes in from the bottom. That's because the camera is flipped upside down, or I attached it flipped upside down, and you can't invert the camera. That would be great as like maybe it's a software possibility to upgrade in the future, that we can flip the orientation of the camera so you're a bit more free in terms of installing. I contacted Aoocci about the flipped camera picture, and there's actually a very simple solution to it. You can simply twist the camera itself so the red dot shows upwards and you can see the picture the right way round. Life can be so easy sometimes, I guess. The front camera is still an issue due to the screen, in my opinion. In the winter it should work out, as I have the screen in the utmost position all of the time anyway, but in summer that is not really a solution, of course. Speaking of winter, I wanted to test the whole system right away, of course, after installing, but sadly that wasn't an option.
Because, yeah, and it's even supposed to turn to rain in a minute, so yeah.
Luckily, a few days later the weather turned around and got much better, so I could go for a test ride. I loaded a little tour and went for a quick ride. The screen is very clear, and even though it reflects the sunlight, you can still read the screen well. For anyone who knows how bad a low-standing winter sun can be, you might be able to relate. The specific device I have is the 6-inch version, and the screen size is similar to my phone. There is a 7-inch version existing as well. In the end, it depends on your personal preferences, which one you want to buy. Personally, I would have probably gone with the 7-inch version just to have a slightly larger screen, but it is what it is now. The resolution of the screen is more than sufficient in my opinion, and also the brightness level is more than decent. If I will wish for a brighter screen in the summer though, that remains to be seen. Later on, I figured out that you can use the wander wheel of the bike to zoom in and out during navigation, which is, at least in my world, a huge plus. I have some gloves that don't work on touchscreens, and having to stop the bike, remove the gloves every time to zoom in and out, and put on the gloves again can really get frustrating sometimes.
But I don't know why this freaking thing is constantly zooming out.
Then it was time to test the dash cams. As I used the bike to commute to work as well, at least when there is decent weather, I used the chance to see how well the cameras do in the dark. And I have to say, I am impressed. If you compare the video and the brightness of the dash cam with my vlogging camera in night mode, the dash cam is holding up pretty well. Of course, the resolution is lower, but even in a more busy situation in the city, you can make out everything. Surprisingly, during the day the video quality feels a little bit worse. So I wouldn't use the camera for YouTube video recording, but that isn't the purpose of the dash cams to begin with. It does what it is supposed to do, so I'm fine with the result. I have to say though that I'm still not sure about the cameras personally. I will keep them installed for a little longer, as I will go for 6,000 kilometers or roughly 3,700 miles winter escape tour now to Spain in February, and then I can test the dashcams and the device even a little bit longer. Shameless plug, by the way, if you don't want to miss out on that tour or the long-term review of the BM6, then feel free to like and subscribe. That would help the channel quite a lot, especially also for future reviews. So thank you very much for that. I did install the tire pressure sensors as well, and they even fit on the angled valves, but I never connected them to the device. My bike comes with a tire pressure monitoring system from factory, and the BM6 shows the values from the original sensors of the bike anyway. In general, the BM6 is able to show all operating values of the bike as it receives the information through the original BMW navigation cradle. The device is connected to the bike in the same way as the original BMW connected ride navigation. If you get the dashcams, you need to connect them, of course, as well. The device boots up quickly when the bike is switched on. Only loading Android Auto takes a little longer. The device will automatically switch to Android Auto when the connection is established. By the way, it is the exact same thing with an iPhone and Apple CarPlay. I connected the iPhone of a friend of mine and there is no notable difference. So you can assume that whenever I talk about Android Auto here in this video, it is also the same with Apple CarPlay. There are two different screens showing the speed and RPM of the bike and some auxiliary information. And you can adjust the brightness, get into the settings and change the individual recording duration, automatic brightness adjustment, change the language and many more options. You can change the information screen also by using the wonder wheel on the left handlebar. For some reason, you can only switch between the different displays on the home screen. Selecting the settings or Android Auto didn't work for me. That needs to be done on the touchscreen. When switching to Android Auto, the screen will show either the last app you have used, or when the bike is switched off and on again, the standard screen is your navigation app of choice in the middle and your music player on the right. You can connect your headset with the device as well if you want to listen to some music, for example. On the left, you have a quick select for your recently used apps. While using Android Auto, you have a quick select button to switch quickly between the home screen, change the brightness as long as you are not in auto brightness mode, and you can switch to the camera. If desired, the rear camera can be used here as an additional rear view mirror. I think there are a couple of misconceptions about these devices. A comment I have seen regularly says that you could not use these devices in remote areas when there is no phone service. But that is not true. If you use offline maps in your navigation system, then your phone just works like any other navigation device because it has a GPS chip in it. So it uses that GPS chip to navigate. You do not need any active phone service for it. I use that for as long as I have the bike, because I use my phone as the navigation system, and I always have the offline maps selected. The second comment I regularly see and actually believed myself, and that was also a reason why I never really considered a device like this one before, is that Android Auto or Apple CarPlay for that matter would drain your phone battery quickly. I can tell you though that on my quick afternoon round yesterday, I used Android Auto for the navigation for 1 hour and 21 minutes. And I had Android Auto in the background active for another 53 minutes for recording some of the screens and the B-roll that you see in this video. And all of that consumed only 6.7% of my battery life. I sadly don't have any recorded data from when I was using my phone directly for the navigation, but I can tell you the navigation and the switched on screen of the phone without charging it consumes significantly more power. With this in mind, I will not even bother in the future to keep the phone connected for a quick afternoon round or even for a normal day ride where you're out for like 4 or 5 hours, as it will not tax the battery of the phone significantly. And I think this is a good transition into the pros of the device. The first thing that comes to mind for me is the ease of use. If you use the version without the dashcam, all you need to do is connect the device to the original BMW sat-nav cradle, then connect your phone to the device via Bluetooth, and then you have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay installed already. And Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are another reason why it is so easy to use, as you don't really need to get used to any new device, a new environment, or different apps for that purpose, because that is what you use on a daily basis with your phone already. The integration into the BMW ecosystem, as well as being able to use the Wonder Wheel of the bike and also use the Wonder Wheel within some of the apps, will be a game changer for me personally on my future trips. Another positive point for me is the fact that I will probably never have battery anxiety with my phone again. And that is probably worth more than having fuel anxiety, to be honest. If you are currently using your phone, this device will protect your phone, as your phone is probably more expensive than this device, and you do not need to have it in the open, exposed to the weather, rain, sun, and what else there is to be. And in comparison to a device like a Garmin navigation system, for example, this device does not only feature navigation, but you can also use it for other purposes. The next point is maybe a little bit silly, but I'm recording YouTube videos, and whenever possible I try to record at 60 FPS. The problem with that is that on my phone I regularly have these black bars in the screen. With the BM6 Pro that is not the case. The picture looks perfect, and I think it completes the look of my cockpit as well for the future videos. And last but not least, if you're looking for an all-in-one device that even comes with dash cams, this device is quite a bit cheaper than the alternative version from Chigi, for example. When it comes to the downsides, the main downside for me personally is that I have to get used to some new apps. I am using Calimoto for street riding, and I'm using the DMD2 app for off-road riding. Both of these apps do not support Android Auto. While Calimoto at least supports Apple CarPlay, DMD2 is an Android-based system, so it doesn't support CarPlay either. That means I have to use some new off-road and on-road apps that I need to get used to. Another downside of the Pro version specifically is the camera cable connection. If you want to have the dash cams, then that is how it is. You will be fine with the connection as it is. You need a connection to the device somehow. But if you are someone who wants to take the device off the bike and take it with you into the hotel room, for example, or after every ride back into your house or apartment, then you would need to plug and unplug the cable constantly. And how long that works well before the screws or the little O-ring for the sealing is broken remains to be seen. I also found the connections on the bottom of the device not to be ideal. You have the SD slot and you do have a USB-C connection, and the USB-C connection is supposed to be used to transfer the video files onto your computer. I tried that and I was not successful, so I just took out the SD card, put it into my SD card reader and transferred the files that way. If there are more downsides, I will let you know after my tour in February through Europe. So who is this device for then? The simple answer? For me. At the beginning I was skeptical because, once again, I was afraid that Android Auto might drain the battery too quickly of my phone. But that is simply not the case. So now I do not need to worry about my phone anymore. I can just keep it in my tank bag or wherever, charge it maybe through a power bank or keep it connected to the USB connection of the bike and not worry about running out of battery on my phone anymore. And if you are anything like me and you are currently only using your smartphone to navigate with your bike, then I guess this is the right thing to look at, especially if you don't want to bust the bank right away. Besides that, if you are looking for an easy solution with which you do not need to wire up the whole bike yourself or rebuild the complete cockpit or the bike itself to accommodate the device that you want to use, then this is of course a perfect place to look at. And with the new function of the Pro device, of course, if you want to use a dash cam, this is a perfect device for you to look at. One thing you should though pay attention to, make sure that your bike is on the list of the compatible bikes. Here's the list of all the currently compatible bikes, but please, before you purchase anything, make sure that your bike is really on the list and there has been not an update or some of the bikes maybe even removed from the list, but maybe even added. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please consider to like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to buy any devices from Aoocci, please use my affiliate link and also the discount code. Until then, see you in the next video and thanks for watching. Another positive point for me is that